領域展開無料空襲
YouTube, what is going on? We are finally, and I do apologize, but finally going over anniversary domain expansion Gojo. Not even arguably, he is the best character in the game and does so much freaking stuff, especially with his domain active. However, he provides just a lot. And the only downside, honestly, with him is the fact that he is Gojo. And what I mean by that is you won't be able to use Blue Gojo, Green Gojo, or Teen Gojo, but it honestly does not matter given the fact that he is his own tier in terms of damage output and supporting capabilities. But let's go ahead and go over what exactly he does. His first kit is Converge and Strike. It's going to be a melee combined damage taijutsu and jujitsu to the selected enemy, and if your skill restriction status is active, it decreases the selected enemy's critical hit resistance for 2 turns by a fixed amount. So very strong, and we'll go ahead and get over to the skill restriction once we cover the ultimate, but it's a very strong melee taijutsu hit for 3 turns. And then also, you know, if your skill restriction is active, the critical hit resistance decreasing for the enemy will be for a certain amount of turns once, you know, your ultimate is active. Jumping over to skill 2, personally it's one of my favorites, Curse Technique Lapse Blue. You're going to be dealing ranged jujitsu damage to all enemies, and more importantly, decreasing all enemies damage dealt for 2 turns. And again, if your skill restriction status is active, you can't use this skill. So that's going to be something that's very important, is after using the ultimate, which it will allow you to increase your staying capability for 1 turn. If you don't know, this Gojo right over here has the bye-bye effect, but it's for 9 turns. However, upon using the ultimate, it, like, let's say it drops down to 5 and you activate your ultimate. Well, that 5 jumps back up to a 6 and you get an additional turn, which is very nice. But the downside is you can't use skill 2 or 3. You are forced to continue using skill 1. But skill 2, very strong. Skill 3 is Curse Technique Reversal Red. You are going to be dealing ranged jujitsu damage to 1 enemy and increasing your own jujitsu damage by a certain amount for 3 turns. And again, if your skill restriction status is active, you can't use this skill, which is it stinks, right? But it's fine because once you get to the ultimate, everything changes. You are going to expand the domain. The ultimate is Domain Expansion Infinite Void. It's going to grant sure hit effect to self, canceled once the domain expansion ends. What this means is, like, you know, you're going to be guaranteed to do additional effects with all your characters. Like, let's say in my situation, which I use with Gojo a lot, is Toji, you know, you're going to be getting your critical hits. So it's very good. You are also going to inflict all enemies with stun infinite void status for 2 turns. They're not going to be able to take action for a certain amount of turns, this instance being 2 turns. Inflict all enemies with infinite void status for 4 turns. What this means is you're going to be decreasing all enemies' ultimate skill count by 1. And you're going to be preventing them from increasing their ultimate skill count. You're also going to be increasing the damage that they receive. In this instance, at level 5, they're going to be receiving 72.2 additional damage. Then on top of that, depending on how high your own urgent business count is when the skill is activated, additionally increases all enemies damage received up to 200%. So the max increase at a count of 6, minimum of 25% increase at a count of 1. So you can, you know, do the math, work your way up. Then activates the skill restriction status for 3 turns, cannot charge your own ultimate skill gauge for 3 turns, increases own urgent business count by 1 turn, as I previously mentioned. The ultimate is absolutely cracked, and it's just It's so good. So you want to try to get it out as fast as possible to, really capitalize on the allowing to deal more damage than what you normally would be doing. Next up is going to be his little passive, the zone state. When you perform a black flash, you're going to activate the zone state for 3 turns. What this means is you're going to be increasing your own Jujitsu damage by 30% and increasing your own critical rate by 30%, which is just amazing. And then he also, as many Gojos do have the limitless technique. It grants immunity to himself for the whole battle. So absolutely busted. Very, very, very strong support, but also having the capability of doing raw damage by himself, which is just phenomenal. So now we're going to be going over the best recollection bits, I think, for this Gojo. All right, so the first recollection bit that I think is actually going to be arguably his best is actually going to be the one that came out with him, that being the detainee party. At base, this recollection bit is going to say that when the command skill or ultimate skill is activated, increase all allies' ultimate skill gauge charge rate by 10% for 2 turns. This cooldown is for 9 turns. It's going to increase all allies' damage dealt by 15% for 2 turns. At LB3, that 10% for the charge rate is going to jump up to 15%, and that damage dealt increase for all allies goes from 15 to 20%. Then at LB1, at the start of the battle, you're going to increase all allies' critical hit chance by 10%. So you can see, yes, this is a utility recollection bit, but it is a damn good one. Being able to support everyone, which is just phenomenal, right? Next up is going to be unity from the top to bottom. At base, it's going to state that when a command skill or ultimate skill is activated, you're going to increase all allies' ultimate skill gauge charge rate by 30%. LB3, that 30 is going to jump up to 35% for 2 turns. This cooldown is 6 turns. Very, very, very strong. At LB1, if the selected enemy is in break status when attacking, you're going to fill your own skill gauge by 201 time, which is just going to be amazing. Now, this is a buff to the previous effect, but this buff is very good, as being able to increase your own skill gauge, ultimate skill gauge, is just necessary for this domain expansion Gojo, because it's very, very good. Next up is going to be Respite for Adults, the recollection bit that came out with Megumi. At base is when your command skill or ultimate skill is activated, you're going to recover your own HP by 25%. That's not necessarily what's important. What is important, though, is you're going to be filling your ultimate gauge by 200. At LB3, this charge is going to go from 200 to 250. We're not worrying about HP recovery with Gojo. And this cooldown is 5 turns, which is very nice because it pairs up nicely with his bye-bye effect. At LB1, it states that at the start of the 4th turn of the start of battle, you're going to increase all allies' damage dealt by 25% for 3 turns. So it's going to stack up with the ultimate having an effect, as well as whatever buffs and effects you have with everybody else on your team. Those are the couple recollection bits personally I love to use with this Gojo. I think he's absolutely cracked. So let's go ahead and jump into a little demonstration of a team I have and see how he performs. What we have here is the Mahito event, and we're going to be using Gojo with Nanami and Yaga. I know I always love using these guys, but I just really, really enjoy using them. I think they're really, really good, as well as buffing Gojo and everybody else on the team. And we're going to be using Toji because, in my opinion, I think Toji and this domain expansion Gojo just work absolutely wonders with one another. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be using the skill 2 to attack everyone. Go ahead and buff everybody and try to break Mahito as fast as possible, while also being able to just increase our overall damage capabilities and just doing all of that fun jazz. This team works, I think, very beautifully in tandem with one another. Like I said, we have Gojo dealing a little bit of damage. Then we have Nanami and Yaga boosting, and Toji being a backup damage dealing unit. But in this instance, while yes, Domain Expansion Gojo is capable of doing absolute stupid amounts of damage on his own, Toji is able to provide that additional support that we will end up needing in terms of damage output capabilities. So we're going to go ahead and reduce his critical resistance here with Toji as well. Continue using the skill 2 to take out all the other units, and just now we're going to be using single target with Gojo, as we are going to be focusing him down. And then once we get to the ultimate being able to be used, Toji should actually be almost done as well. So here we are going to break, continue to buff, and Toji should be almost ready as well. Gojo is done right there. Toji is, man, he's almost there, man. So what we're going to be doing here is just using that skill, boom, boom, and then go ahead and just use skill 3 because I want to showcase. Nope, never mind. Gojo just does it himself. 500k damage. Absolutely insane. Let me go ahead and get another clip with his ultimate being used in tandem with Toji. All right, so here is a perfect instance where we are going to be using our ultimate in tandem with another unit while also getting additional buffs. So you're going to see the absolute raw damage capability that Gojo provides to another amazing damage dealing character. So we're popping the ultimate here. Beautiful animations, I do have to add. Also getting him all those debuffs. You can see his stance is taken away. Toji, 1.8 million, which is just awesome. You have to keep in mind that the break was not active already. 2.1 with the combined attack there. Yeah, Gojo's just absolutely insane. He is definitely warranted of the top spot in Jujitsu Sorcery, and in JJK, Phantom Parade, he definitely hits that top spot.